Allora, direi che possiamo cominciare. Welcome everybody. Welcome to JUG Milano meeting 159. A great round of applause, especially for Rosaria and Ivar, our guest speaker of tonight. I will introduce them just briefly. As usual, I will keep it short, but a couple of logistic information. Where we are in a Dreams of DJO, which we thanks to always host us as the JUG Milano and other communities. They are in the business of selling flights. We are in one of their tech hubs. They have tech hubs in Spain, Portugal, Italy, where we are, and Argentina, a community of around 800 developers that they call themselves e-doers, between backend, frontend, and machine learning and other roles. So around the venue, you will see some QR codes. So if you are interested, please scan the QR code because they're always looking for talents. And you also find a calendar of other meetups, like Beyond JUG Milano, that they host. Before getting started also as well, for JUG Milano, don't forget to subscribe to the mailing list and to the YouTube channel so that you also have a chance to participate in the raffle. Thanks JetBrains for always making one license of IntelliJ and other JetBrains products as a raffle to our participants. For those of you who are in present, there will be a link in the mailing list, so a good reason to subscribe. And for those joining online, there will be a link in the chats. We are always looking for speakers, and actually we have a little bit of a champagne problem because right now we are trying to shuffle between the different international speakers and the local ones. So thank you for the patient, Andrea, and others who are Marco, who I know who are waiting in the pipelines. But we will try to also catch up with the backlog in 2025, I guess. So one reason more to keep subscribed, and please share like those friends. Actually, just a spoiler, you have a meetup the November 26th of November. There will be a Codemotion meetup, it's called, and Andrea is going to give a teaser of one of the great session for the JUG Milano. So I invite you to check out of these cross-pollinations. And with that, about the mailing list and the YouTube channel, please feel free to invite friends if you are interested in sharing your use cases. And with that, I will give it to Rosaria, right?
Yes.
Okay, great applause for Rosaria.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you for inviting me here. I'm really happy to be here with you. And before all the Java things, I would like to have a speech with you about something that I'm working on. I don't know if I need to use that. I can use the laptop, is better. Okay, so, okay, I'm Rosaria Rossini. I'm a research project manager in Eclipse Foundation, in particular in the research department, okay? I have a computer science, a bachelor, master, and PhD in computer science. I'm working in Eclipse since 2022. And previously, I have more than 8 years of experience in research and IoT. I would like to give you, I know that you know, I would like to give you some, a very brief overview of what is Eclipse Foundation, okay? These are particular dates for Eclipse Foundation. Eclipse Foundation was founded in 2001. And when this is the date in which IBM published the Eclipse ID that you assume you know very well, okay? So after a couple of time, the stakeholders of Eclipse ID decide that they would love to have a vendor neutral environment to develop this ID, this development environment. So they decide to create the Eclipse Foundation. But, and then, in 2013, Eclipse Foundation came also to Europe, okay? In 2021, Eclipse Foundation moved to Europe definitively, okay? And we have now also Eclipse Foundation Europe. The Eclipse Foundation does not only contain Eclipse ID, but contains more than 400 open source projects, okay? And collaboration, 21 industry collaboration, more than 20 years of innovation. Why I'm saying that? I'm saying that because in the research part, we are working in research project. Why open source needs research project? Why research project needs open source, okay? So if you can see here, the research project consortium is found most of the time have researchers, industry, and software vendors. What they have in common is that they try to reach the innovation, they have product and expertise, they have technology transfer. All of this needs a shared platform to be to create a product, to create something. And this shared platform, most of the time, is an open source platform. So l'open source is a catalyst for them, and it's important in this way to create some community and work better together. This is what we see as the open source platform that is in the middle. What you see at the basis is what Eclipse Foundation, but every open source foundation provides to all the projects that are community governance and process, IP management and licenses, ecosystem development, infrastructure for open collaboration, and supply chain security. And on top of that, there is the product added value, that is the market. So it's what you sell is where your business happens, okay? I give this introduction, and we arrived to one particular project in which I'm working on that is called Skill Lab, and it's about skills, okay? This project will deliver an open source skill demand supply identification analysis prediction hub for citizen enterprises, academia, and policymakers. What I want to say to you is that in this project, we are pilots together with other two organization, and I'm here now because I would like to tell you what is skills, what are the skills, and how we see skills. Like we see hard skills and soft skills. I don't know why. Okay, the soft skills are up, the hard skills are down. I don't know if you already knew this kind of classification, but it's important for me to ask you a question to understand why and how open source impact on your job, impact on your skills, okay? This is a question that we are trying to answer, okay? Because in our vision, soft skills are really important in an open source community because you need to respect, you need to collaborate, you need to communicate with others. And all of these skills, you need to, so all of these soft skills are requirements for being in an open source community, okay? In an open source community, you can, although, build hard skill because you are basically training yourself in developing, in consulting, in finding bugs. And this is very important. This is our vision. And for us, it's very important to understand your vision as a developer. This is the consortium of the project. If you are interested in understanding a little bit more, there is also the link. I'm here then to ask you this. If you can please take your phone and answer my questionnaire and survey about your expertise. I will not, in this survey, there are no questions about your private life. I don't want to know your name. I don't want to know your email. I just want to know your skill and your expertise in your job. What is important is understanding your vision.
What do you mean with non-verbal skills communication?
Okay, it's like we are Italian, so it's even more easy that we can communicate with our body, with our gesture, or you know, when you don't want to say something, but you throw your eyes on the sky.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, so I would like to thank you again for this moment. And if you want to know more or if you need information, please contact me. That's fine, on LinkedIn, on email. And now it's time for something that you maybe like more. That is Ivar.
All right, this works. Good. So now you know all about your soft skills and non-verbal communication. Okay. So, Jakarta EE Meets AI, with the subtitle Integrating AI in your enterprise application. Who is using AI in their daily work? And I'm not talking about Copilot or any tools in the IDE. In your apps, you're integrating with some AI. Good, cool. Then you know everything I'm going to talk here. So if I say something wrong, then you can just tell me I'm wrong. All right. So my name is Ivar Grimstad. I'm the Jakarta EE Developer Advocate at Eclipse Foundation. And these are my social media coordinates, so any platform works. I'm a Java champion. I'm an Oracle Ace Pro. I represent Eclipse Foundation in the JCP Executive Committee. And I'm also an Apache NetBeans committer. And I run a Java user group in Malmö. So if anyone, speakers, we are always also looking for speakers. So if you're a speaker and want to come to Sweden, then just let me know. So some background just about, I'll get to the AI part, but since it's Jakarta EE, I want to do some Jakarta EE first as well. And remember in 2020, we released Jakarta EE 9. And Jakarta EE 9, that was the namespace change. And I think every Java developer on the planet know about this. And Spring developers or Jakarta, Spring? Most of it, yeah. So you've been through this from Spring Boot 2 to 3, right? So and this is something we didn't want to do it. We kind of had to, or we had to. We're not going to do it again. So you can be safe. We did minimize the other things we did in 9 to only this namespace. So if we had done some API changes in addition to this, it would have been a totally different story. So we limited to the namespace to make that migration as easy as possible. So that was 9. In 10, 2 years later, we started making changes. And in Spring Boot 3 now, you have the Jakarta E10 versions of stuff. Even though it's officially supporting EE9, you have some of the EE10 versions of the APIs there as well. And as of November, you will also have some Jakarta E11 stuff in Spring. And 11 is coming later this year. We still hope, we still say it's going to go this year. It looks like it's going to be December. We were hoping for June, July, but they're refactoring the TCK, so it takes a little longer. We support 21. We're embracing records and Jakarta data. I'll talk a little bit more about this in the going. So Jakarta EE is all about specifications. Unlike Spring, this is a framework that we kind of bundle with stuff. We create specifications that others implement. So, and a specification for us is a specification document, a human readable description of the technology. So in an HTML or a PDF. And there's an API on Maven Central. That is what we use as developers. And there's a TCK or test compatibility kit that we use to validate that an implementation fulfills all the requirements of the specification. And when it does that, it's a compatible implementation. And there can be multiple compatible implementations. And I'll get back to some of those later. So 10 is the current release. And this is how 10 looks like. So there are lots of specifications in Jakarta E10. And all of the blue ones were updated from 9 to 10. So it was kind of we didn't update them in 9, so we had a lot of specifications to update in 10. But actually, 11 will look very similar. We're updating a lot of specifications there as well, because all the blue ones are updated in 11. And we're adding a new one called Jakarta Data. And talking about Jakarta 11, I'll go through a couple of these specifications. So we're kind of, if you're Spring developers, then you can see some Jakarta stuff. And then and I'm also going to use that in my demos. So a subset of the platform is the web profile. That is more of the traditional web applications. And you can kind of, it's like the Spring framework. The platform has a little bit more enterprise things. But the web profile was introduced in Java EE 6, so it's been with us for a while. In 10, we also introduced the core profile and continue to update that for EE11. And core profile is targeting microservices or headless services. And it has this CDI Lite specification that is a subset of CDI where they've added a new extension API. So everything that CDI does dynamically on runtime, CDI Lite can do on compile time. So we can compile to native if you're only supporting core profile. Jakarta 11 will support Java 17 on the API level. So we'll support everything in the APIs that is needed up until 17. We will, though, and compile it to 17 as well. But we will, though, make sure that it runs on 21. So we test it on 17 and 21. And we're also making it future-proof, so it will run on future ones. I'm running all my demos on 23 today, so it works on later versions as well. With this release, we're sort of also establishing that release cadence we have been looking for. So we have predictability about when you can expect a version of Jakarta EE. And that is 6 to 9 months after what we call an LTS of Java. So 21 was out last year. So in summer this year would have been a perfect date for 12. So next LTS will be Java 25. That will be next September. And so in about summer 26, we will release Jakarta EE 12, and so on. We're feature complete as of May this year. So every API is out there in Maven Central. You can use it. There are implementations for each API. So for example, for Spring, that is relevant for Servlet. So Servlet 6.1 is out there, and is supported by Tomcat and Jetty, and other servlet engines. Hibernate is out there. So the latest version of Hibernate supports persistent 3.2, which is a Jakarta EE 11 API. And we have a milestone release out for the full platform as well. So we're expecting it to be out in December, hopefully. So that was the Jakarta stuff. The rest will come in the demos. We're talking about AI, and I'm not talking about the Python version of AI. And this is kind of saying you don't need Python to do AI. I mean, we're not writing the models, we're using them. We're integrating with them. And since we're writing our business application in Java, we also want to use Java to use do the AI stuff. And there are many good things in Jakarta EE that support this. And I'll go through a couple of these specifications. First of all, RESTful web services. We're all creating microservices, or we're calling microservices. So RESTful web services has APIs for creating web services, but also APIs for calling. It's a client for calling RESTful web services. And 4.0 is the latest version, or the one that will come in 11. What we're doing there is kind of cleaning up a little bit and making it ready for the next version. And we're removing the XML binding the hard dependency. It's been optional for a while, so we're removing the hard dependency because we're not dragging in optional things in the platform any longer. We want to make it clearer what it actually supports. They're also mentally preparing to deprecate their component model. They have some injection mechanisms there that we want them to use CDI instead. There are some low-level stuff for manipulating the request and stuff. CDI is also updated. And CDI is something I'm going to use here today as the injection mechanisms. And in 4.1, we're supporting records and seal types. So now we can inject a record or a seal type, since that came in what is it, Java 16, I think. And also you can set priority and producers. And I could actually demo these priority and producers here today, but I haven't tried it before, so I'm not sure if I want to do that. Let's see if we have time. They're also moving some integration, and this is kind of housekeeping stuff. We have a lot of EJB stuff in the CDI spec. And EJB is a good technology. It's still what fuels the world, but it's kind of perceived as heavyweight and a little bit legacy. So we're moving the integration requirements of CDI over to the platform, and then potentially removing it later and moving everything over as CDI. We're also going to use JSON binding, and you all know that from Spring. You're using JSON by default from Eclipse Foundation that is incorporated in Spring framework. So it just binding JSON to Java. I'm going to use that as well. There's one specification that is new in 11. I'm not going to use that in the AI demos today, but I just wanted to show you data. And before we go into the AI stuff. So let's just take a look at this code. And if I look at this this simple application here, it's running on 23. I do have Jakarta EE 11 milestone 4, and I'm running it on Open Liberty here. So I can start this application by simply typing clean package, and then Liberty dev. I could say Liberty run, that would just run it, But dev, it will take a little slower to start up, but when it starts, it gives me the fast feedback loop, so I don't have to restart it for doing changes. So it's a very convenient way for a developer. And it starts fairly quickly. It's absolutely comparable to a Spring Boot application, maybe a little faster even. So a Jakarta EE application is, this is how you configure a REST application in Jakarta EE. It's like the main method in Spring Boot. I just set the path. I make sure it extends application, and that's it. Then I have a resource here that is like the REST controller in Spring. That's the @path annotation. So I have a getter that produces JSON. So rather than have this get mapping annotation, we split them in two. And I have a post that consumes JSON. So it's JSON in, JSON out. And what it does here is to find everything from a repository and display it. And the other one is save something to the repository. And here's where the interesting thing comes in. Because this is Jakarta data. So you've probably seen this before. But notice the imports. So it's this would actually just switch the imports to Spring data, and it would work there. So we see something good, and we standardize it. So the same thing here. If I take this application and just run it, I'm running on a Postgre database in the bottom. So if I check it, there shouldn't be anything in the database. So it's empty. If I add a message from Duke here, it should now have Duke in the database. It's actually Mrs. Duke. So if I now say hello from Mr. Duke and say only Duke here, like this, and put it in. So there you go. So now I have 2 Dukes in the database. So this is exactly the same way as Spring Data would work. And also, as with Spring Data, I can also create this optional greeting, find by, not by find by account, find by name, ignore case, for example. So it has the same way of creating queries as you have with Spring Data. So let's see if I can spell correctly here. So this would be working just fine in Spring Data. In addition to this, we have actually a subset of the Jakarta persistent query language called the Jakarta data query language. So we can actually use annotations to create this, so we don't have to rely on the method names if we don't want to. But this would enable me also to do search for a name like this. So I use the path parameter name and can use this find by name method. And by this I can search for only Duke if I wanted that. So I'll only got just have to wait for it to, yeah. So you see it takes the programming modeling for Spring Data and moves it over to Jakarta data. All right. So let's talk about AI a little bit, and I'll actually jump right into a demo there as well. There's a lot of demo in this talk. So, as I said, people are, when AI came like 2 years ago, businesses were moving over to, oh, we need Python and we need to do this and that and that. But luckily, Java is now catching up on this. And usually this is how it looks like in our world. We have some application, business logic, some service, and we call an AI service, whether that is a internal in your company or if it's a public one or something else. But it's usually, it can be like fed with documents from your system. So you're using it on your contextual data. You can enhance it in any way, but it's usually just a call to another service. And we've done this for ages. I mean, we've called other services before, and this is nothing new. And we can use a lot of different technologies to make these calls. And Spring is one of them. And Spring AI is actually pretty good. And if you add Spring AI to the application, you just do this, use this Spring API and call, in this case, OpenAI. So I have created an account on OpenAI, and I'll just use that directly. So you probably know. Are you using Spring AI? Huh? So I'll just stop this OpenLiberty running so I don't have any port conflicts. So Spring AI is actually pretty cool. You can go to the Spring initializer, and you can just choose AI there and generate a project. That's what I've done here. So I chose two things: the REST API and Spring. So I'm creating a small REST API that calls the OpenAI. And I updated it today, so I'm using the milestone 3 of the Spring AI API. And so you need the starter web for the REST stuff, and the AI OpenAI Spring Boot starter for the OpenAI. If you're using something else like Azure or something else, you would use that dependency. But this is for OpenAI. Otherwise, it's nothing here than the usual stuff. And the source looks pretty cool. You have the Spring Boot application, like that's the Jakarta REST application. And I have this Spring AI resource. And here I've divided it into to use a Spring AI service that I've also implemented here. And that's just, I'll get to that later, why I did this. You don't have to, but it's, I just want to separate it from my business application. So I have this, I'm just calling the AI endpoint and take a message from the endpoint. And this message I'll pass to the AI. And my Spring AI service that I created here is just a regular Spring component. I'm injecting here the chat client builder. They changed this from the last time I did this demo. Then it was the chat client directly you injected, but now it's the chat client builder. So I can call the builder.build and then send the prompt, this message I received, and do a call to this AI and retrieve the content. So you see, it's I don't even know that it's OpenAI I'm calling, because that's just figured out for me. In order for this to work, I need to have an API key to OpenAI. And of course, I'm not going to show you that one, because then you can start using it, especially if you're on YouTube. But you configure it with just settings, the API key, and I created it as a system variable. So that's the only configuration you need to set. That's API key, and then you can use Spring Data AI. If you're using other than OpenAI, you need that API key. So if I take this one, Spring AI, I may even clean package, so you know I'm not cheating. And then I'll run it, Java jar. There you go. And if I now take, call this one with, tell me a joke to the AI. And so this is you never know what you're going to get. So it's usually a bad joke. Of course, I could say in Italian. So no, I definitely no, I don't know what it's saying. But so you see how easy it is to integrate with OpenAI, with Spring AI. It's just another API. So you don't even have to know that it's AI you're calling it to. It's not that hard. All right. Anybody using Quarkus? Yeah. So Quarkus also has AI, and Quarkus' API for AI is actually more to my heart as a Jakarta EE developer because they have kind of the same programming model as you would have in Jakarta EE, because they implement some of the APIs more or less fully, but more partly. So it's the same sort of way to set it up. You choose the Quarkus REST, the REST JSON, so I have the JSON binding. And then here I add a LangChain for J, Quarkus OpenAI dependency. Here also you can choose other stuff, like if it's not OpenAI, you use something else. And the rest is just build stuff. And this application is a little bit less verbose than the Spring stuff. You just have the app path annotation, inject the AI service that I've created here. I could have done this here as well, but I've separated it out to similarity. It has a get method, the method in, you get it. All my demos have the same structure. And it does this AI service call. And my AI service here, and this is the neat thing with Quarkus, is annotation based. So here is register AI service. That's all you do. Of course, they also have the same configuration. You have to give them the API key. But other than that, it's nothing. It's just, and they have this annotation for @user message. I could decorate it more with the system messages and all the other kind of things. But this is kind of I kept it to the bare minimum just to make it simple. So if I take this one, Quarkus, moving clean package. I think I can say Quarkus run directly. Can't I? So I'm just running it. And it should be fairly quick to start. And now I can call the same thing with the Quarkus. And it's, was it the same joke or was it a different one? Yeah. So you see it's just similar. So if you don't use Spring, you can use Quarkus. How about Jakarta EE then? What do we have in Jakarta EE for this? Well, you can actually call OpenAI directly, and in several ways. And I'll show the first one. And to get the first one, I guess I should have prepared this, but I'll open this one up, and I go to OpenAI. Is it this one? So okay, I have to log in. I'm sorry, I didn't prepare this thoroughly. That was the only thing I didn't do at the hotel, but I'll see if I can do this now. So let's get in there and see if we can see the API somewhere. Here you can see this is the usage today. So I spent $0 on these calls. It's not that expensive. Let me see. Where's the API documentation? Is it the playground or where is it? Let's go see here. API. Sorry about this. API. So, do you know where I find this stuff in this one? I usually have it in my. So.
The API docs in the top, right?
Where is it?
Topics about AI docs. At the top.
At the top.
Topics.
I'm just blind.
No, at the very top, just below.
Topics.
Then about, then API docs. Is it written API docs?
Am I blind or? Oh, there we go. Yeah, I am blind.
No worries.
I have to check my eyes. I'll actually beef it up so we can actually read it. A little bit down so we can have this one. So there is one here for chat, I think. So let me chat. Yeah, so this one. So there is a REST API for everything, and also for OpenAI. And this is the REST API for the kind of the same thing I did with the Spring AI. I'm just sending a message and I'm getting one back. So it's sort of a chat back and forth. So in Jakarta EE, we have this REST client. So the application I showing you here is exactly the same one as I'm showing you so far. Only I've added more runtime. So I'm Java 23 on Jakarta 11, and I added the Open Liberty runtime as I showed in the data. I also have Pyara and Wildfly here, so you can choose which runtime we run. I'll run some of them a little bit interchangeably. The application is exactly the same, and it has this AR resource that has injected a AI client that I'm not doing anything with. So if I want to create this one, first I need the REST endpoint. So I'll do the at path. No, at get. So and then I'll have a public. Let's return a string. Call AI, for example, with a string. This should be at path param message. String message. And then why is it reacting there? And then oh yeah, I need the path with the placeholder for the message. So it's the sorry. Message like this. So I have the AI / message. I'm pulling in the message here, and I'm going to return the OpenAI client dot call OpenAI with the message. So this is my REST endpoint. Then I'm going to create the OpenAI client, and since I'm using JSON-B to call it here, I would have to, of course, I could use JSON-P and parse the JSON. So this is a schema for the sort of for the JSON that I will send out, and similarly there will be a completion response object that comes back. So I could take this object and parse and look for the stuff with the JSON APIs, or I can use JSON binding. And the way you use JSON binding is that you create a Java object that will be serialized from the JSON and the other way around. And of course, I can use a lot of annotations and create any Java object and just put the JSON values in. Or I can create a Java object that kind of is the same as the JSON structure and don't need any annotations. So there are several ways of using this. If you were calling a REST API, you will probably have an OpenAI or Swagger or something that will just generate that client for you. But if you were to do it manually, you would have to create a object that kind of reflects this structure and the stuff I'm interested in, and that is sort of the content is the stuff I'm interested in. I can just ignore whatever I'm not interested in, and for this case, I'm just interested in the bare minimum. And you don't want to see me type all this, so I've created a template for this. So I'll create a completion object, and this completion object is the same structure as that JSON you just saw. And the same way I can create a completion response object that is a reflection of the response I will get back. So I'll create these two, so I have the in and out. And if I want to call this one, I would have to create the request. And to create the request, I'll create this completion object, and I'll just fill it with the bare minimum. I'm using GPT-4 as a user, and I'm sending the message in. And then I'll have to just create the client. And when I've created the client, I will call it and get the response out. So I'm doing the client, setting the target to the endpoint of the API, setting the JSON type of it, and giving it the OpenAI key. And then I'm posting the completion over, and from this I'm reading out the response I'll get back. And to get the content from the response, what I have to do is take the response, read the entity as a completion response, and then traverse this down to the content that I'm interested in. Of course, here you can have null pointer exceptions everywhere. So this is for demo. Right? So and there's not something that doesn't compile around it.
Slash
31.
line 31.
31.
Beginning of the line 31.
Yeah, there you go. So then I'm basically done. So it is a little bit more of a burst than the Spring, but this is kind of the bare minimum. I have total control of what's happening here. I'll get to easier ways of doing it in the future. I just want to show you this is the hardest way of doing it. Jakarta AI. So if I run this one, I'll just clean package, and I'll run this one in Liberty run again. So this one should be starting up fairly okay. So there you go. I still have Quarkus running. Then I probably will have some conflicts there. Let's go Jakarta AI, and I'll just name clean Liberty run. So I don't want port conflicts in this stuff. So when it's up and going, we should be able to call it again to see if it knows a joke. So it's still, there we go. So it's empty. Is it because I'm not sending the correct stuff in, or why is it empty? Let me see. There's 404 not found, yeah. So it's AI. It should be this one. Shouldn't this be correct?
Maybe if you're still running the Quarkus project, you are occupying the same port.
Yeah, yes, I closed the Quarkus, so that one should be. Oh, but it's. And it's Duke's AI. It says 404. That's weird. It's AI. Could it be it needs a slash in front of this one? No, not there. I mean, there. Yeah. If it doesn't work now, I'll just skip this demo and go to the next one. Let's see. Could also cheat and look at the. Okay, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do stash. Okay. Get checkout name. Okay, get commit stuff. Oh crap. So let's just see how it looks like. Yeah. So this is how the signature should be. Let's copy this and git checkout demo. So, okay, so this is live coding. So now it should be right. Let's see. If I'd started this one in Liberty Dev, now it would have picked it up and I wouldn't have to restart it. But now I chose run, so that's how it goes. Oh. There you go. So now it's up and running, and it tells a joke, and it can even do it in Italian. So this is the hard way of doing a AI called in Jakarta EE. You have to kind of do it, but you can. You don't need any third-party libraries. You can just use what the platform gives to you. However, yes?
If I may, there are a couple of questions also from,
from
the live. So one, but I think that is sort of like the self-resolve, but maybe if you could expand. Alessandro asked why you were using @inject and not @autowired.
Okay, so the question is why I'm using @inject and not @autowired. So in Spring, you can use @inject and @autowired interchangeably because of JSR 330 that Rod Johnson wrote. But in Jakarta EE, we don't have autowired. In Jakarta EE, it's always @inject. But it's the same thing.
Okay, thank you for the clarity. And also, I think it's similar topic to what you explained about, JSON bindings and all the different things. Domenico had a specific question about JSON, which is the official reference implementation of a JSON binding, but seems that is a bit poor maintained. Do you have any update on this?
It is a bit
poorly maintained.
So Eclipse JSON is not super actively maintained. Yes, that is a problem. But also JSON-B wasn't updated for Jakarta EE, this release of Jakarta EE. So when they are doing spec updates, they also do updates of JSON. But we would wish that we got more updates and more stuff going on there. So if there are anybody who have something that they want, poke them on the GitHub issue trackers. Even better, send a pull request if you know how to do it. Or file a bug or something, or ask on the mailing list. And if you're lucky, if you fix a bug or two, they'll suggest you as a committer, and then you can go in and maintain it yourself. It's an open source project. Okay, so LangChain for J is kind of de facto standard nowadays for Java to call AI. So anybody using LangChain for J? Yeah. So and if you're using Quarkus, you're using it by default, and I guess Spring is using it underneath probably as well, or not. No.
I don't think so. No, I don't think that Spring AI is based on LangChain for J.
No, it's not. No. Well, that's good to have more implementations because we wouldn't give all the power to one project. So it's good to have a different. But LangChain for J has proven to be something fairly easy to use, and LangChain for J plays well along with Jakarta EE as well. So if we remember this kind of hard way of doing it with the completion and completion response and stuff, we can get rid of that if we want to do the use LangChain for J. So the only thing I have to do there is actually add those dependencies, and you can see I only have this Jakarta EE dependencies, so I can add the LangChain for J dependencies. And in my case here, I need LangChain for J, the core API, and also want the OpenAI version. And the latest version is 0.35. So it's not a very mature library, but that's where we are. So I just add these dependencies, and then I can use LangChain for J directly in my code here, and rather than calling my OpenAI client, I can call the just use LangChain4j. So if I want to do that, let me see if I have LangChain4j. So what I do then is rather than calling my own OpenAI client, which I know can comment out if I want, is that I just instantiate the OpenAI language model with the key, and then I call generate and get the content. So this is very similar to the Spring way of doing it. And I can run this one in let's run this one in Wildfly. No, not Wildfly run. So I just demo. We have different implementations. You don't need to use OpenLiberty all the time. You can just as in Spring, you can choose between Jetty and Tomcat or Undertow. You can use OpenLiberty with Spring as well. Just change the default. So now it's a different application server starting, and I can do the same calls, and it gives. There will be a little bit of difference in formats and stuff, because the different models I'm using to call the AI are using different models. I can see that in my billing, which is $0, but I can see it calls ChatGPT 3, 3.5, the 4.0, and the different ones. So it depends on which one you're hitting with the defaults. So that is LangChain4j. But this kind of stuff, this program model, this way of doing things, that is something. Well, it's okay in Spring, but in Jakarta we don't like this way. We want the dependency injection, we want CDI to handle it, and we want kind of things to be a little less verbose and smoother. And luckily, it's easy to wrap LangChain4j in CDI, like Quarkus has done with their register AI annotation. But that's also a little bit overkill. You can do it simpler, and that is what I'm going to show now. So rather than doing this call to this model now, I'm going to create a new class, and I'm going to call it, let's call it OpenAI Producer. It doesn't really matter what you call it, but this is sort of what it does. And I'll give it a by the way, I have Norwegian and Swedish keyboard layout, and sometimes some of these IntelliJ shortcuts switches language for me, so that's why I had to change it back here. So I just give it the application scope. It doesn't. It just need a CDI scope. Application scope is fine for this one. What this one is going to do is I'm going to have a public, and it's going to return an OpenAI language model. I can call it get model, like this. Oh, sorry, there. And from this one, I can take this. Sorry. Oh crap. Here I can take this create with the key thing here and just copy it. I don't need it all, and I'll just return this. And for this to work, I would need a producer annotation. And here is a name conflict in Jakarta. So you need to know if you're using the Jakarta Enterprise inject, that is a CDI producer, or the other one, the Jakarta WRS, which is the REST producer, and that produces JSON and HTML and that kind of stuff. So you need to just make sure you have the right producer. So now I'm producing a model from this CDI producer. And in my AI resort now, I can now use add inject, and I can just inject the model, and I'll call it model. And now I don't need to instantiate the model. I can just use the injected one. So it gets simpler and easier. And I can run this. I'll run this one in Pyaro. Or go run. So So now I'm using LangChain for J, but I'm wrapping it in CDI, so I have the nice Jakarta EE programming CDI model around it. And I don't have to think about what's actually happening around. I'm just injecting the model and using it. So this is a third implementation of Jakarta EE called Payara. They have different versions of their server. This is the full version. They have a web profile version and a micro version as well, which is kind of a command line thing that is a little bit faster and smaller, but I'm using the big one now. And now I'm using the CDI stuff to do the same thing. All right. But what if I really like Spring AI, but my application is in Jakarta EE? Well, there's a cure for that as well. You can integrate the Spring AI in Jakarta EE as well. So, and there is a little trick you have to just be aware of. And that is if you remember the Spring AI thing that I created here, I have this Spring Boot application, I have a REST controller, and I have this Spring AI service that is a Spring component. And it's this Spring component I'm after. That's the one I want to have in my Jakarta EE application and call. I'm not interested in the other stuff. So the best thing would do to put this component in a separate jar and use that one. And I've done that here as a demo. But I'll show how you can turn a Spring application into using this component stuff as well, if I just remember how it's everything I have to do. So it is a Spring Boot application. And that is where I don't want want it to be a Spring Boot application. So I have to remove some stuff here. And one of them is the Spring Boot Maven plugin, because a jar created by Spring isn't a regular jar. It does some stuff to make it a Spring Boot application, and then it's not injectable or as a dependency. So I need to just get rid of the Spring Boot plugin. And then the tester stuff won't work either, because there's nothing to test. So I have to get rid of that one as well. And when I've done that, I think that is enough. Then I can go to the access control. So there we go. Dux Spring AI and Maven clean. And I know I want to do a clean install, right? Because package was just created there, but I want to do a it doesn't work. So let me see. Dux Spring Merge application test. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you have to do whatever. What do you do when a test fails? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're experienced developers. You know this. So don't do this at home, or don't tell anybody on YouTube, especially, that I said this. So you have to install it so it's in the Maven repository. And when it's in the Maven repository, I can consume it from my Jakarta EE application. So now I'm not using the LangChain stuff, but it's still there. So I'll just keep that dependency. I'm not using it. I'll just leave it there. So I would have to add a dependency for my, what did I call it? Dux Spring AI. This. So this is the application I just created. Reload it here, and of course I don't want to call this Spring stuff directly from my application. That's kind of dirty. So what I want to do is create a CDI producer for this as well. The same way as I did with LangChain for J. So I can inject it with add inject. So I create this class. I'll call it Spring AI producer. And the same way as I did with the others, I'll add the application scoped. I have the at produces. Let me call it. It's public Spring what did I call it? Or did I just call it AI service? Let me see, what did I call it here? Duke's AI service. No, in the Spring application, it's Spring AI service. Did I not refresh the POM? Let me see that I'm in the right POM file. I added it here. I refresh it, so it should be AI. Why isn't it there? So you know what? I probably did something wrong when I switched the what I deleted from that stuff. So I'll just use the one I've created for the component. I'll show it to you that it's exactly the same code that is the other. It has the Spring Boot application and the Spring AI service. And it just has to have the correct POM for making this happen. So I'll load this, and now I should have the, why isn't it there? It should be, I don't get this. Let me see, did I do the injection here? So it is the AI Duke Spring AI component 01 snapshot. Oh crap, this is not my day. But this is what everybody wants when someone is doing some demos, is that they want it to fail and see if they can figure it out. Let me just install this one and see that that's in there. I'll reload it. Why isn't it coming? I don't get this. Well, you know what? Check out there, get stash there, get checkout main. Oh, get commit, blah. Oh, crap. Yes, there you go. Get stash. So I have this application here, and it has this Spring AI producer, and what this one does is it gets the Spring context. So I just have that as a class, and when I set up this producer, what I do is I create a new annotation configure application context, which is a Spring thing, and then I registered the Spring AI application into this context. Right? So I created a Spring context and then I registered the application in, and I just refresh the context. That makes that from the context I can do a get bean and get the Spring AI service.
Bean,
yes.
Regular CDI bean. Okay.
Yes. So I can then get the Spring AI service from the Spring context and produce it through the CDI producer. And then in this resource, I can inject the Spring AI as a model and call it. So let's go to this one. City Dix Jakarta Spring AI. Moving clean package. Cargo. So this is a dirty trick for just. This is kind of the stuff that we as developers we do it because we can. It's not necessarily because you should. It works, but there can be some corner cases here that will make it not work. So I wouldn't just do this and put it directly in production, especially since you deleted the tests. But it does work, so you can if you want. And now this one will call a AI with Jakarta EE produced by CDI using Spring AI and back. There's also a project called Helidon. Anybody heard of Helidon? Yeah, and we're using it. So Helidon is Oracle's response to Quarkus and Spring Boot. And Helidon is actually pretty cool. And Helidon implements the Jakarta EE specification fully. They're actually Jakarta EE compatible with the core profile. So where Quarkus doesn't implement everything in core profile, Helidon does. And in this demo, I've showed how it has the same program model as the Jakarta EE. And here I have an OpenAI producer and a Spring AI producer. So here you can see I'm doing the same thing, and I can just choose if I want to use the Spring version or the OpenAI version. And right now it's the OpenAI that is here. And Helidon is fairly fast to with startup times and everything, and especially if you put some load on it. Because they've implemented it from bottom up on virtual threads. So it supports Java 21 and higher. So Helidon 4 and up is virtual thread all the way through. So it's very high performance. In this case, you won't really see that because yeah, I'm just doing one call. So it could be I can be on a one-threaded machine, but let me see, target Duke's Helidon jar. So, but it starts fairly quickly, and now I'm using the OpenAI, and it's very simple to change to the Spring version if I wanted to do that, and it will do that. So it supports everything you've seen in Jakarta EE. But you have the kind of the smaller runtime and the performance as you would expect from this. And they also have this development mode, so you don't have to restart it and recompile it like I did here. But I think you have to install their CLI to use that, so it's Helidon Dev. So Helidon is a perfectly good alternative to all of these. They don't have like the Quarkus Helidon built-in APIs yet, but they do support all the other ways of doing it. So Jakarta 10 is the version we have currently available, 11 very soon. 10 is a lot of specifications, a lot of new stuff, which of all is available in Spring. Jakarta 11, like Jürgen Holler said at Spring I/O, that the November release of Spring Framework and Spring Boot will contain Jakarta EE 10 APIs and early versions of Jakarta 11. So you already have like Hibernate Servlet and JSON specifications probably in the whatever Spring Framework version that is coming now in November. Jakarta EE 11, yeah, as I said, we're targeting 21 and embracing records and cleaning up the platform. And with that, we hope to increase the developer productivity and performance. And I think Helidon is a good example of that. It's small runtime, it's very performance, and it's very little verbosity in how you do the coding. We're supporting 17, 21, and I'm running everything here on 23, so we're supporting that as well. So with Jakarta and AI, it's a good fit. You don't really need any built-in support because there are good libraries out there and you can use all of them. Now I showed LangChain for J and Spring AI and the vanilla REST approach. but there are probably other libraries out there. You can use the OpenAI libraries directly or the Azure stuff if you're on Microsoft platform. So you can integrate all of these very simply in Jakarta. So there's really no reason to move away from Jakarta EE because of AI and what they promise on the other side. And you can see how fluent the APIs are moving. Right now, it seems like Spring AI is stabilizing on a milestone, but they can change dramatically in the next couple of weeks as well. And at this stage, you may wonder, should we create a Jakarta AI specification? I don't think so yet. We're a little bit immature in this business so far, so we probably will wait until we see something have stabilized a little bit and then standardize, like with Spring Data, for example. If you want to learn about Jakarta EE, I have a course on LinkedIn. You can do this. Of course, if you have a subscription, you should use this one. If you're in the room here and you don't have a subscription and want it for free, you ping me on LinkedIn and I'll give you a link for free. If you want to get started with Jakarta EE, you can go to jakarta.ee. We have a starter. So all these demos I showed here, the simple stuff, you can generate from start jakarta.ee. We hope to have some Jakarta 11 generators up there very soon. The demo code is on my GitHub. And you can find more about me on the developer advocate page on Jakarta EE. With that, I say thank you for listening. And if we have any questions, then feel free.
Actually, there was one from Alessandro, but I think that you just answered. So the code for tonight, Jug, is that UKI repo?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. So Alessandro, you have you can send pull request or file GitHub issues also there. Yeah. Questions? One more, maybe from me actually. So I think it's like proves that with Jakarta EE you have a lot of specification that allows to compose services. And what I see here is that seems to me that, okay, you have actually the possibility to integrate with Spring AI or Spring or specifically other frameworks like LangChain 4j. I'm wondering what is your personal take about AI being more sort of like, yes, we are having framework like LangChain 4j, but seems to me that we are moving to a model where you interact with the model through a REST API call. Do you see this as becoming the paradigm? Like, I have a model somewhere and I will interact with the REST API call, or there will be like other interactions that will happen with AI models beyond REST.
Yeah. So I think there will probably be a mix. I mean, if you're just using it to get jokes and these silly things, you can interact with something directly, but you probably won't send any business data over to somebody else. So you would have it internally. You would probably, whether you have your own model or you have some that you make sure your data is within the boundaries of your company, and then you can enhance it with the other ways, this RAG stuff and whatever it's called, all of it. So,
yeah, but even in the boundary, thank you. Even within the boundary of your own company, you can have your local Olama server when it serves the model and you interact with it with REST anyway.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if you gave a look, for instance, to JLama, where you can do LLM inference directly in Java and have it embedded in your Java virtual machine.
Yeah, so that will probably be faster to interact with it directly with Llama or something like that. So, but I guess you will probably have some AI, either whether it's REST API or just some other way. It's kind of the same model you would use. You would just call it with some data.
It is. It's just that in one case you have an HTTP request anyway, regardless if it is local or not, and in the other case, again, it's, for instance, embedded in the same Java virtual machine process.
So that would be much faster. Yeah. So I think it depends on the use case.
Yes.
Maybe just another more is like I found much interesting is like to showcase you shown how sort of like these type of use cases are not to be done necessarily all in Python just because it's sort of like most of the tutorial that they find out there. I think the situation is changing also to your talk tonight and others. What I'm interested is like how you finding have you found any other interesting use cases in sort of like the AI world beyond LLMs that interact between Java specified as a Jakarta EE implementation and other Python or either other runtimes to integrate with the AI use cases beyond LLM that you
So I must admit I haven't really looked into it very much. So this is kind of scratching the surface a little bit for me.
But I think it's because for instance, like I remember just a couple of years ago, I remember like for other use cases not related to AI, specifically not related to LLM to be specific, there was the case of, you need to have these interfaces with Python and you need to invoke Python from Java. And so the question becomes like, do you host your Python code in the JVM and then you make the native binding? But here I think is like is highlighting how you abstracting away through REST APIs and REST services. And with all the specification that you have a very easy way to compose in a microservice way. That you may have your Python application running somewhere, if it's not Python, it's something else, and then you interact with the API. Thank you. All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Ivar. Thank you again, Rosaria. And with that, that's all. Thank you again.
Thanks.